All right, we good? Awesome. 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 All right. So we'll open in prayer, and then I would love for us all to share one meaningful moment of our summer. And then I'm going to update a little bit about what's happening in the church. Sound good? Oh, I just thought of one other thing that should be on my list. Don't want to forget. Okay. Wonderful. Let us pray. Oh, holy and gracious God, thank you. Thank you for the gift of this day and the gift of these leaders for Adult Academy. Thank you for all that has been learned and wrestled with and offered in this space over the years, and for what you have ahead for us this year. Open us to continue in our planning to know who you might send that can spark new ministry, new meaning, new connections. Bless this time, Lord. May it be holy and sacred. In Jesus' name. Amen. Clarita, do you want to share one part of your summer that was meaningful?
Not necessarily she's my happy.
Okay.
But I lost a cousin this summer. It was my ex-cousin's husband. And she invited Sam and I to come down and help with the memorial service. So yeah, so we went down and she made plans for us to stay with some church friends of hers in their home a couple days ahead of time, so we'd be there. And I think we did a nice job, and it was like a sudden death kind of thing. So, but that was meaningful to me that we got invited to do that.
And you said you made friends with couples.
Yeah, the couple, we just hit it off so well. I felt like when we left after being in their house for 2 days that like they were old friends. Yeah.
John?
Busy. Too busy. But as usually happens, what saves me for the year is 2 weeks in Maine. Yeah, there's something magical. Not just Maine, anywhere that does the job for you.
That's your spot.
But being out close to nature, walks, simple living, there's something so restorative about it. And I think of it as mental health time. Overcommitted, overworked, over concerned, woes of the world, all that piles up. And if you can't get a break, the other reflection is there's people, you reach a certain age and so many friends and acquaintances are in decline, diminishment, and struggling with wrestling with the inevitability of diminishment. At the same time, the blessing of good health yourself seems unfair in some ways, but I'll take it. But really trying to, including, from a theological or Christian perspective, it's all preparation, and it's all seeing people in decline and figuring out how you might help them or support them is itself a spiritual exercise. Yeah. So my summer seemed to be full of that, just more and more people becoming aware, either mental issues or physical issues or people passing. And anyway, it's life. Sorry to be so cheerful.
But it's true. And part of that blessing of health is being able to walk with them or their spouses or their partners in it, right? And I would say a meaningful part of my summer was transitioning with Gabe and Jackie, and the gift of getting to really bless Gabe and doing good celebration with Beth and sending her off. Alan was actually with her in Ohio this week, and she's doing well. So that's exciting. Uh, and then I had 2 vacations, one of which was not relaxing, but I learned a lot about self. and that's good, right? Go, we can keep learning. And the second was the week in Maine, which is it's just good. I mean, part of what I learned in the 2 vacations was, as lovely as the one was, I actually want to be with my children right now. They're in a stage where I don't want to go away for a week without them. I want to go away for a few days with my husband. But by a week, if we're exploring something new, I want to help the kids be exploring it. It's just, we're in a really wonderful phase of life with them. It's going. They're 7th and 8th graders. Holy crap! How did that happen, right? Oh my gosh. Um, so yeah, it was both the gift of getting to transition to bless and do my best to, just help orient Reverend Jackie as well as send off Gabe and Beth in her own way well.
Wow. I can identify with just about what everybody has said here, I haven't done a funeral in, I don't know, a dozen years or so. So to be asked to do one was a little challenging, but you don't say no, of course. So that was very interesting. And kind of, we were both very not well. We were not well. And when I came home, then I got diagnosed with pneumonia. So that answered a lot of questions. But, just to talk about limitations, like physical limitations, and, trying to just deal with it and push through it, and then actually get some medical answers, and that's like a resurrection. Like a couple antibiotics, really miracle drugs, you know what I'm saying? And not just one, but 2, and breathing machine. But these are good things. Anyway, yeah, life. I have life again. My lungs actually work. Thank God. Anyway, so that was kind of a rebirth, mentally, spiritually, physically, and all those things that you guys talked about, I had kind of forgotten. Beth's celebration and her reinstatement and the general conference, and that's how we came home with pneumonia. And one had it, and then we both had it. Anyway, but then to cap off the summer, we spent 5 days at the shore with Lorelai and Steve and their family, and it was the most relaxing, rebirthing experience ever. Lorelai went down the rabbit hole of my family's ancestry, and then we played the wedding music that we danced. No, we didn't dance because there's no dancing at our reception, but I provided the music on my record player for the church reception, where we played the Vogues, Turn Around, Look at Me. And, so it was like that vacation, 5 days at the shore. I actually got to, my thing is always go to the ocean, and I can't get in the waves anymore. But if I can get my ankles in, I feel satisfied. You know what I mean? The waves will just knock me right over. But so that was really neat and a really great way to end the summer. And it kind of like the whole cycle then of that illness and getting well is like a whole it's encouraging, so like when you feel like you're at a level you're never ever going to get well, and then you get well,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh, all right. maybe I have a little capacity left to do some stuff yet, And that's,
And
Yeah.
you do, yes. We're counting on it, friend. We're counting on it.
so that was like joyful,
That's awesome.
So that was kind of my summer.
Wanda, you want to share before you roll out?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, sorry, I was so tech
One
focused.
meaningful thing this summer for you.
I know, I was so tech focused. I'm like, wait. I guess for me, the most, man, it's been a long summer. I guess for me, the most meaningful thing that I got to experience this summer was, I mentioned before we started officially, my best friend got married, who I've been best friends. We've known each other since 12 or 13 years old. And I was her maid of honor, which I've never really been in a wedding before. I was in a wedding as a kid for my aunt, but it doesn't count. So being by her side throughout that journey, her being able to trust me with all those responsibilities. God bless her, God bless me, because I don't know how I did it. But it was just the most beautiful and just like special experience to share with her that I'll never forget. Um, she looked absolutely beautiful. I love her husband. I just think they just fit each other so perfectly. And just to be able to stand by her side while she did one of the most like life-changing, steps forward was just really special to me. So I'll never forget that. Yeah.
And can I add?
Yeah.
Can I tell more about your personal life?
Oh, sure.
So it's been breaking Madonna's heart that her aunt had been dying for several months. And then her aunt died the week of the wedding. So literally she ran down to North Carolina into the funeral and then back up to New York to do the wedding, all in about a 5 day span.
And I was moving out that week as well. So yeah, which I forgot about. That week was like the trip, what do we call it? Like the triple threat. It really was. That Sunday through Tuesday of that week, I was moving, like finishing up moving out. We had just found out that Saturday that she had passed and that the funeral was going to be on Thursday and my friend's wedding was on Sunday. So like, yeah, Lisa said, I moved my whole life. Wednesday, I still worked every day. Wednesday night, I drove overnight with my sister, my brother down to North Carolina, went to the funeral Thursday, went to bed, woke up early Friday, had a horrible 12-hour drive back to Philadelphia, and wasn't packed for the wedding at all. At all. Packed like 10%, went to bed, woke up, packed, went straight to the wedding. It was just the craziest. It was in West Point, New York. It was beautiful, but I was after that I was like, I don't want to be in a car for quite some time. I'm done.
And I knew that just because I think it's so meaningful that you were doing all of that for your friend while also grieving and all. So anyway,
That means
you
a lot.
do
Thank
that.
you.
We're gonna dive into
Just one thing before I let you guys go. Keep an eye out right here. That microphone, if it's moving, if you see green,
Yeah.
that means your microphone's moving. So if Elisa's talking, you don't see that.
Right.
That means just
I'll
put
try
over
to-
that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
All right. Awesome. Well, I'm just going to
Thanks.
share a couple of updates of where we are. I mean, obviously, the biggest, most significant was transitioning with Reverend Jackie, and I think it's going smoothly. It's always it's so helpful to see the church and the community through fresh eyes, right, and diverse eyes, and so it's been helpful to me, and she's so all in that the energy and the questions she's asking are really motivating me, and also you may not know this. I think you know this. I'm not sure if you know this, but I officially went full time this year, as of July 1, which didn't totally change my work hours, but it just feeling healthy enough to be all in and to really feel like, okay, where are we going? What questions are we asking of leadership? Where are we focusing our time? How are we beginning to dive much deeper into what's happening in the community and where the Holy Spirit's at work that we're supposed to align with, right? A few things that came to us this summer that I wasn't anticipating that I'd want to mention to you, and stop me and ask any questions. One is it's a fairly minor partnership, but it was exciting. It came to us through the fridge. They knew of this community called Dirt Baby. And Dirt Baby is a minority-owned farm in Roxborough, a co-op sort of farm. But part of their purpose, two of the women that created it are women of color who are doulas as well. And so part of the farm is designed to produce fresh fruit and fresh vegetables for postpartum mothers. And literally just this week, I don't know if you saw, I don't know if it was in the Enquirer or the Wall Street Journal, but there was an article again about all of the postpartum deaths that is happening. There's a huge increase in preeclampsia among women that are leading to deaths within the first week after birth. And it's higher among women of color, though it is happening. So anyway, they've saved this food, and then they have two chefs, Paloma and Ruben. They are wonderful. And they are cooking meals to be delivered to postpartum mothers all over the city. Their emphasis is Black and brown mothers because that's where the death rate is the highest, but they're open to anyone. You don't have to qualify. If you're interested and say, I need some meals for the week, they provide them. And they've been doing it out of their house, and while they were growing, they asked if they could come use our kitchen. So every Wednesday, they are cooking. They are open to volunteers because they are expanding, and then there's about 5 volunteers that show up at 3:30 and pick up the meals and take them throughout the city, including the Germantown area. So that's, I think, an exciting partnership. The kitchen's open. We know the fridge team. The fridge team has gone from cooking 1 set of meals to put in the fridge a month to they were doing about 4 this summer each month, almost weekly. So that's exciting, and we've got a handful of church members that are really devoted to that now. So there, about 6 months of it has been covered by the Christmas community needs offering, and I'm not sure where they're getting the rest because last year they ran out about halfway through, and I'm not sure where it's coming from.
They wanted to
Okay, awesome.
I mean, I thought they had a great engagement. Now the work it's doing with engagement.
Well, and I had thought about Dirt Baby got an initial grant to make this happen, and that money is running out. So they'd asked if they could advertise for donors from the church, and I said we really don't put that in the bulletin. I said, but I will let you know of the community needs offering, and I will mention to you. I will mention that there's one other set of funding that might be possible. So I may connect you all if that's okay. Okay, great. So both those partnerships are exciting. I think, I mean, living in a food desert, there's not food insecurity to me. There's not much that's more heartbreaking in a world of abundance.
Using facilities.
Yeah.
It's just.
And having them pass in and out, right? So I'm just meeting all these young adults in the community that are volunteering to drive meals all over. Those are relationships, they'll grow slowly, right? Because if they were interested in church, they'd already be checking us out. But what I've always found is that if you start to build those, hey, how are you? What's going on in your life? Then when they have a crisis in their life, they will come to you. So we don't know when all those will grow, but I think having them in the building is really meaningful. With Jackie and I in our mindset of, Jackie's been great. Speaking of, like, she's connected with a couple we have extra, again, because of another partnership with Family Promise, which I'll tell you about in a minute, we have extra backpacks. And so Jackie's just been sort of reaching out to families when she sees older kids. And she came into me the other day, she's like, I gave away some backpacks because I want to make friends. I was like, no, it's not because you want to make friends, it's because you get ministry. That's why you're just connecting with people. And I do feel like the Miss Marty partnership is, there had been some just, I think in the transition between Miss Marty passing and her children taking over, there wasn't the same relationship with the church. And I think we're strengthening that in some meaningful ways. So I'm excited about that. And they recorded some. I'm going to go into great detail about that, except to say I think it's positive on lots of fronts. And in fact, one of their workers is going to come on staff for 2 Sundays a month to do childcare. So at least 2 Sundays a month we have childcare starting hopefully next week. So that's all good. And the other partnership I wanted to mention, and then we'll talk about staff transition, is with Family Promise and how we suddenly have a family staying upstairs, right? And that's Family Promise, formerly known as Interfaith Hospitality Network, right? We've been trying to rent for a forum room for 2.5 years, right? And we have not succeeded at that. And so I keep looking at this, but nobody's there. But we've not succeeded at that. I mean, you guys still want us to go on, even though it's just the 4 of us, right?
Yeah, except on the go.
Okay. I'll be quick because we don't have to spend all the time if y'all want to do other things. But Latrice, who is not the executive director, but head of all social work or what have you, called, and his family had been at the Chestnut Hill Meeting House for the last 2 months. And she wasn't even sure if she wanted to return to the congregational model. They're housing families in other ways now. But she was at Salvation Army, which is one of the intake places for the city for families. And as she was walking out, this family just stopped her and was like, is there anything you can do for us? We're getting anyway. And she knew that the meeting house had space in the summer. And so they started there, and the hope was that the Unitarian Church would do it again like they've done it in the past. And then they realized they just didn't, they couldn't for a number of reasons. So she called me and I said, well, let me look at the current forum room. If it's going to be 3 months and we have this space that can't seem to get rented, let's try it. Let's see. And so Tom and I talked with trustees, and then we talked with our admin council, and it just seems like it could easily work. It's a family that, you know, they were maybe lower middle class or middle class making it, and she got breast cancer, and she has worked for a realty company. Mortgages is her deal, but it's all commission based. So when you can't work, you have nothing, right? And he's a freelance photographer. And so then he started taking care of her, and all of a sudden you have huge healthcare bills because you don't have healthcare and you don't have or quality healthcare and you don't have income. They have 3 kids, 2 boys that are 16. They're on the spectrum. They are awesome. They're just sort of one unit. And then a 17-year-old girl, and they are all at Camden Prep, which is I guess a great charter in Camden. So they're still taking them back because they want the consistency of school each day. And very hopeful they'll be back in housing. They're just banking all the money right now they're making. She's back working and he's back working, and they're just banking all the money to be able to get into a place. So grateful that that could just happen that way, and mindful that Victor and his whole family are here because they were once a Family Promise family, right? They came to us through Interfaith Hospitality Network. Not saying this family will be that, but just a reminder, you don't know how that will grow. Okay, so any questions about any of those things before I give the last update I wanted to give was the music search. I thought people would be interested in that. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, just a lot of great stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, yeah. No, I will say, in my ideal world, the family would not have been moving into a space that had not been cleaned or set up for 2 years, really, or set up to be housing when the entire staff went down for COVID. I mean, I think part of the reason this is lingering is that I just had to keep working because I was not COVID positive. I had some other cold, and I was the only one. Still, sort of. Anyway, it all worked out, and Dwight's team was amazing. The last thing is two things I think you'll be interested in. The music search. Daniel came to us, and he loves this place. He and his family are going to continue to attend, but he just couldn't manage working and working with the intensity and uncertainty of the PhD program. He said that Temple is really known for saying to their grad students, their PhD students, this is what you're required to do, and then pulling them in for this rehearsal and to take over this choir. And the inconsistency, he felt like, prevented him from being consistent with us in the ways he wanted to be, and being with his family. So he will still be with us. They will still be with us as a family, but not. We have 2 interviews set up, or 2 interviews coming. Oh, so we have one other great candidate that Jody and Jan and I are going to send out to you all. Yes. Very different. Both came to us from Temple. Daniel found them for us. And those will be in the next 2 weeks. So we will see. We will see how that goes. If there's anything you all as congregants feel like you want us to be thinking about. Whose keys? Are these your wife's keys? No, these are my keys. Is there anything you all would want us to be thinking about in that search? I mean, during COVID.
Yeah, different kind of spirit. Yeah. No, I hope we get somebody that's committed and creative.
Yeah.
I think
And
I
Andrea.
would say, I really like the variety of music that Daniel led us to. And I think that's important. I think we need that. We certainly don't need to go back to the classics, as great as they are. We need that lively, spontaneous, and he had such personality. Because you know, he would step away, you know, do this and sing. You know, I mean, that part of who he is, I think also is just to me welcome, because this breaks down that barrier between the performer
Oh, I like that.
and the congregation. You
Yeah.
know, you want to be a part of it, but yeah, more. And you turn around, we'd all be singing last couple stanzas or whatever of the end.
Yeah.
You know, when it's done. So, and I think the kind of community we live in, I think trying to connect with the African American community is more jack.
Yeah.
Like Allie just went right down into here.
He does, doesn't he? So it's hard to know if the person that we're interviewing on Wednesday is the right one. He is not currently doing a church. So we could, first of all, let me say that Jody has kindly agreed to go through the end of the year. She's covering both roles again to go to the end of the year. So that is covered. He is not currently doing a church, which means he could start ASAP, right? Few weeks, I imagine. The other person we're interviewing is at a church, and it's really not. I mean, professionally, I don't want to ask someone to give 2 weeks notice at a church, right? 2 months feels much fairer. And even, you know, someone may say, I feel like I need to take them through Advent, like I need to take them through Christmas, and that's fair. That's, you know, I mean, it really is. Yeah, it's just very unfair to drop that on someone with such quick turnover. So I think it depends on who we hire and what their current professional commitments are. And Jody's giving us that freedom because, you know, she is.
Yeah, she has those same qualities, maybe not to the same degree.
Different background, right? But she, yeah. Yeah. But she can play the gospel that we need, right? I mean, God, what I'm so. She's leading the search committee, which has been great. So yeah, she's leading the search committee. But I mean, to me, it is really important. We cannot say we want to be a diverse congregation and invite people in and then come and not hear any music that is familiar, right? We're not actually saying, what we're saying is we want you to come be like us, right? Not we want you to be you. So that ability to go the whole range is really, and that's a unique ability, honestly. Someone who can use sort of the musical chops of that old stuff that we've got some folks who still really love that, and it's important, and I don't want to lose that, right? But also be able to do sort of the contemporary gospel, Richard Smallwood sort of stuff that our Tennille's and our some folks are really hungry for, right? So we're gonna find the right one, the right person, I trust. The one other update I want to give, and then I'm done, unless is there more on music? No, thank you. Yes, please keep it in prayer. Please keep it in prayer. Because Daniel was the person, he just doesn't have the availability, right? And believe me, I tried. I mean, I was like, well, we can give you a year's leave, and we can, I tried to figure it all out. And as we were talking, all of a sudden, it's like he just needs the break. Like his soul needs to not, because he really felt when he couldn't do all the things that needed to be done for us, and it weighed on him. And I was like, my pastor hat was finally like, okay, I need to just let you go. I got it. I got it. I don't want to. The last thing is that trustees has entered into a contract, and this will hopefully happen end of September, early October, with Partners for Sacred Spaces. Sacred Places, Sacred Spaces. I always get that wrong. Places. Thank you. And they are going to come in and do a full building assessment. They are going to assess every room, from the electrical to the air to the square footage to the everything. I mean, I know that we have to come up with a fuller, more robust, more creative way of using this building long term, right? It's just going to be essential for costs as well as other things. And to be the, the bustling neighborhood partner that we can be. So they're going to do a full building assessment, and then the second part after they've done that is they will help us host open houses to neighborhood partners, to nonprofits and artists and others in the neighborhood to come and look at our space, talk about our shared values. Oh, they will also help our leadership do an assessment of what are our values. If we're going to have a building partner, do we share values, right? Because that's what's really important. And then you figure out the rest of what rent looks like, and do you barter for space with some artists, like, for example, we had the Delaware Opera Company here this summer, and you may have noticed that we had a singer, Ryan, 3 or 4 times, and that was bartered. She came and did music for us a few times this summer, and we let them use the space for nothing. They really loved our space and wanted a whole lot more this fall, and I was like, we just can't, it costs us something. So now they actually are paying a little rent for the fall. So anyway, so I think that's exciting about the, yeah.
Thinking about growth and reaching out to the community. Seems to me Jackie is very much of that mind. But these things are connected. So how do you combine space and organizations that might be invited in our space with your general outreach approach to serving them? Because you've already done a great job bringing in, folks, and some of them become members. Wonderful. Is it sort of ad hoc, or is there some kind of plan where you do that?
Where the building use also plays on that.
I mean, the building use also makes people aware. Maybe somebody in Uncle Bobby, whatever.
Of the larger church.
But about growing this church in the direction we really want to see it grow.
So I think there's a few things. One is very much about the culture we create when someone walks in, right? Constantly helping all of our members think about what it means when you walk past someone in the hallway in this building. Like, how are we greeting? How are we connecting? How are we making opportunities to listen to what's happening? And helping all of our members think about that is part of the work of just being here, is this radical hospitality where folks can feel like this is their space, right? And not their space in a bad way, but like You're wanted here in your fullness. The gifts you bring, we care about. It is finding ways to incorporate their gifts into other activities of the church, right? Like, oh, you do dance. Well, we can totally do a dance in worship. Any chance you'd want to share that in worship, right? Any chance you want to be a part of the Christmas party that we could, So I think there are ways in which we when we have that radical hospitality, if I want to know who you are, really know you, then I learn about your gifts and how those might dovetail with what we're doing, so that there's now a more direct interaction, right? And then it's growing. It's growing. Can I say concierges? Maybe I don't know if that's concierges. For example, Tennille is here and active in our church, and has brought her son, who has worked on the tech board, right? Because she came to volunteer with Family Promise. And I've built a friendship with Latrice at Family Promise. And when Latrice was talking to Tennille and Tennille said she needed church, Latrice said, let me walk you over to meet Pastor Alisa, right? So I think Jackie and I building those partnerships of leaders in the community who feel like we're a safe enough place. And then what I will add is continuing to do the anti-racist work. And the other big focus for me this fall is helping Conversations on Race develop a plan of where we're really going to move the reparations conversation forward. But we have to constantly continue that anti-racist work so that people will feel trusted. Because inevitably, any of us, there are little microaggressions we can do. And if we're not consistently working on that, then as more diverse groups come in, they notice it, right? And we are so much farther along than your average white church of mostly boomers, right? But that continued intentional anti-racist work is really important for people to say, okay, I want to be a part of a diverse church and not just So does that sort of answer what I'm thinking?
Let me just jump
Yeah.
in on something that triggered something in my head. So when you mentioned about partnership with sacred space,
Yeah.
okay. So the building assessment system. So we have this great gym.
Yeah.
This great gym, but we can't staff it. So one of the things that
I'm writing that down.
has happened historically in the church is we partner with another organization, like Family Promise, like the food ministry, URDC. Why do we not have a youth league basketball thing going on?
So it's funny you say that. I've actually had 2 different people approach me on a basketball league. And this summer, again, when you open the building, who knows what you learn. So, oh, no, I didn't mean that. I mean, I just threw the doors open one day for my son's baseball team because it was pouring down rain. It was the night before the championship game and we were supposed to have pizza. And I said to the coach, you guys can just come to the gym. They don't have to be out in the rain. We'll just come to the gym and have the pizza there. And he said, great. Well, he happens to be a general contractor in the area who I did some reconnaissance, really gifted. And he said, I can do that gym for you for $5,000. Because the floor, part of the problem is there's some problems with the subflooring. And Chris says that basketballs, there's areas where the floor is dead. It doesn't bounce the same way. So Chris has complained to me about that. So I'm hopeful that in this upcoming year, we can find that funding to get that floor done and then go back to some of these folks who are interested in developing a league. We just got to find the right partner because youth sports is, complicated.
That means, nights and weekends and a lot of people coming in and out of here. No idea.
We have to charge enough. It's not something we can just offer. We have to charge enough to have someone at the door. Like we can't just open it at night, right? And so figuring all that out has been sort of beyond my capacity, but I think you're right. But I hope that they will help us with that, right? Yeah, I really do, because I think.
And then the other thing with the basketball league,
Yeah,
that are consistent with
absolutely.
who we are, which is don't dress a kid down if they miss a shot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's gotta be that positive.
No, there has to be a whole.
We're here to play ball and be competitive, but pairing in the midst of it. So if you screw up, we're not going to take, blame all of you.
No. And there is, I mean, anyway, there's a baseball league that's popped up in Germantown that is, they're trying to develop the elite athlete, right? And we want that. Not, I get that that's desired. So all of that said, and I mentioned reparations is going to be a big focus. Do you want to take a moment? We still have, well, it's already at 10:30. Do we want to, because it's the three of us, do we want to talk anything about October and what we can put into place?
Well,
Or?
that just popped into my head based on what your briefing is about. How can adult academy communicate how you're thinking about church and these partnerships, which I think are really the way to go. And, when it's ready, it may not be October, but
right.
These developments keep moving. The trustees are behind this or that, and council has approved time to really let the congregation know through those people online. And particularly if there's some special funding needed.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know what the timing would be, but maybe October. But using adult academy that way, I think Sam would be.
I think sharing the building assessment or some of the highlights of that could be really helpful. And also I have, yeah, and I hadn't even thought about that when they're trying, because they're going to work with some of our leadership, engaging what are our values to match with partners. This might be a good space to have some of that conversation too. I hadn't thought about that. I love that. Okay. And I just remembered that I had told you all I would reach out to the Polish guy that is working with Ukrainian refugees, the Methodist, the global method, not the global Methodist.
No.
Not them. The General Board of Church and Society. No, not the General Board of Church. Board of Global Ministries. That's where I'm going. Thank you. He's on fire. I tell you what, you hear him talk about the youth. The General Board of Global Ministries. One of his missionaries that is working with Ukrainian refugees. And then I had told you all I would reach out and see if he could come on Zoom and talk to us about his work to people, because our apportionments pay for that. So I think that would resonate with and I had told you I would try to get that for October 3rd. So I will work on that this week. But you were also thinking there may be someone in Kenya or something about Kenya that you would do if not. Is that still?
I'm sorry, what?
So since October 3rd is World Communion Sunday, we talked about trying to do some sort of global focus. So I will try to reach out to that man today to see if he can do October 3rd. But if not, I felt like we had mentioned that you may have someone or something. Is that wrong? That would be more global than local?
I got a lot of someone's.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was mentioned.
Very general. So let me see if I have success this week. If I do not have success this week, I'll reach out to you for October 3rd.
And then do we want to try to pull in everything with the election? That always seems to be our go-to thing in the fall or spring.
I think that's great. And she's got a person, right? Kara's got.
she is really like, I think she texted and she said she's gonna ask them for a certain date. I don't know.
She seemed very keen to come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her friend seemed very keen to come.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
right, but I don't know if it was a date that she had it on. The second Sunday in October. which is-
Yeah, hold on, it's actually, that's what I was looking for. Oh, the second one is the 14th. Yeah, the first one is the 7th, and then the 14th. So yeah, so the 14th is Columbus Day weekend. I don't know if a lot are Indigenous Peoples Day. I don't know if a lot of people will be gone. If we'd rather try to get them on the 22nd, or the 20th, but I said the 14th. It's the 13th. I'm sorry, the 13th. So anyway, I'm good. Let's just tell her. Should we just tell her? Green light, put them somewhere.
Third Sunday.
And then was there anything else that we were? That's the junior defenders. No,
No, she's next, no, she's Dr. Good is the 22nd.
second.
Of September.
Yeah.
And the 29th is Guy so-and-so of the junior defenders
Yeah,
program that Jackie asked us to bring in.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, I was just thinking we ought to get a piece in Hot Topics of advertising that's coming out about the lineup for.
Yeah.
We have that already in the lineup for the tidings coming out next week.
Wonderful.
And
all September?
all of September's in the tidings. In the bulletin this week is just next week and the following week. Linda's and Bridge.
But it has been on my conscience.
Yeah.
I say guilty. This week we didn't have anything in Hot Topics.
Oh, we didn't.
So
Sorry.
that weighed on me. Yeah, we dropped the ball. We dropped the ball on that.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Hot Topics was, so Yancey was out until half day Wednesday, and then I spared you the uninteresting things that have been happening, but we had a massive sewage leak in the children's space this week, which then led to, is there asbestos and remediation and mold? Don't get me started. So anyway, Yancey was out, came back, helping me try to get that resolved as quickly as possible because the kids can't even be in this room right now. And then the program that sends out Hot Topics on Friday wasn't working. Wix, what we used, was not
So you were
for the crash. So I didn't even get it looked at, edited. So I'm sorry about that.
Include in your announcements whether you or Jackie are doing it. Just to briefly say what the adult
What's coming up?
will be coming up in a few weeks. So
I'm going.
it wasn't in Hot Topics. That might help. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. I'll make sure we get it in Hot Topics. Yes, we got to go. All right, gracious God.
I just mentioned on the local Sunday, my daughter is department chair of international studies at Arcadia University, and she clearly Africa is her beat, but refugees, but where she's written her academic books and things, but she really covers the globe, and is particularly concerned about the flow of refugees. And,
Yeah. Did she come and
so
share?
she was in Bali this summer, and then she went on to lead a group of students in Brussels, looking at the colonial past and coming to grips with that. And anyway, she's so engaged in other African questions.
Do you think she would come and kind of talk about the movement of refugees?
She's always said that she'd be happy. She's been there before, and she'd always be happy. Yeah. Now Ethiopia and Eritrea are special.
Okay.
She lived there for many years. Her husband's from there.
Well, ask her what she would prefer, but let's just play it. Let's see if she's available October 6th. Let's just start there. And don't you think?
Yes.
And I mean, personally, I'm interested in Ethiopia and Eritrea. And where she's passionate in the moment is fine. But I think for us to get this general sense of what we need to be thinking about refugees in the world, it's perfect for World Community Sunday, right? Yeah. So that's awesome. No, I was gonna talk to the global, you know, I'm not going to say the wrong global. October 6th. Exactly. All right. I must jet. Thank you for this time. Okay. You're okay shutting us down?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, friends. It was a joy to be with you all, even if it was just us. And actually sharing stuff just helps me think about it. Like when you ask a couple questions, it just helps me think about it differently. So this was helpful.